I'm Jeff Edwards. This is my wife, Sarah Ellen Edwards. We are members of Capstone since approximately late 2013, early 2014. We have 4 kids, Beck, Anna, Ellery, and Hammett. Beck is our first child. He was privately adopted through Bethany Christian. Anna and Ellery are both foster children of ours that we've adopted. And then Hammett, he came along kind of on his own time.
And he's our only biological child.
We are the Tanners. I am Walt, and this is Betsy, and we are adoptive and foster parents.
We have 3 kiddos, 3 boys. Luke is our oldest, and he is a biological son, and then Eli is our middle son, and he is also biological, and then we have Trevor, who we adopted out of foster care.
So back in 2011, adoption had always been a part of conversation since we've been married, because Betsy's adopted. And so we felt like it was going to be a part of our story. And so we had started that conversation about adoption, but then Betsy came home and came with a new idea about what we might be called to do.
So at the time, we had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I went to a foster care conference and really God laid it on my heart that foster care is a ministry in and of itself, and not with a goal necessarily of adoption. So I felt like God called our family to be foster parents and for kids to be placed with us for however long God had for them to be with us. And I actually remember talking to Walt about this, and he was like, well, yeah. I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I needed to catch up. So that is when we started the foster care licensing process.
And then in 2012, we received our first placement, and that would be our first of, 12?
Around
12 over the last 10 years. And so for several years, we had some pretty long placements with us. And then we got this little 11-month-old boy whose name was Trevor, who came to live with us. Fast forward a couple years, through different court dates and through different situations, he ends up becoming free for adoption. And so we had to ask that question. One, is Trevor right fit for our family and what we had been thinking about and praying about and deciding to adopt Trevor. So Trevor officially came a part of our family in September
2016. So when Trevor was young, we got a call from his caseworker and found out that his birth mom was having another baby. And she asked us, as they do, us if we were willing to take this baby in. And at the time, we lived in a 3-bedroom house and had 3 boys, and just decided that is not something that we could do, was to take a newborn. So
when Anna came into our family, it was a situation where we knew her foster parents, and the goal was to keep the siblings together, although neither one of us was really able to take both of them into our house at the same time. So the same thing happened with the Tanners and Trevor and Ellery. The Tanners were already fostering Trevor at the time, and we found out through DSS that Trevor's birth mom was pregnant again, and it was very likely that that baby would come into care. And Betsy and Walt approached us. They knew we were licensed. They knew that we were open to taking more foster kids, and specifically at that time we had a little boy who was about to reunify with his mother. So we were going to have just a really few short weeks of overlap of potentially 2 kids. We were at a conference together, and we thought that birth mom was going into labor at that conference, and that's when we made the decision, okay, we will open up kind of one more spot in our house. We went ahead and called our licensing coordinator and said we might be having another child join us. This is a situation. We want to go ahead and make sure that we are covered. And she said we were good to go. So when it happened, we were ready.
And so long story short, when we got the call, we passed the phone off to Sarah Ellen. We're like, hey, here's your opportunity. And they went with it. And man, Ellery became a part of their family, came home from the hospital with them, and has been with them ever since. So really the point of the whole story is this, is you never know what God has in store for you further down the line. So when we started the journey of just foster care, not knowing that Trevor would be a part of our family, And then as we began to build a relationship and with Trevor, and knowing that then this sibling would come into care, and that Sarah Ellen and Jeff, the Edwards, would come along and basically with the Tanners have these half siblings together. And so now they see each other, they worship together, they're part of the same community, they're part of the same church. And so when you take that step of obedience, you really never know what God's got in store.
May is National Foster Care Awareness Month, and it is my hope that everyone would take part in foster care. We're called to do it as Christians. We're called to care for the needy, and everyone has a part to play in foster care. It's not just people being licensed to be foster parents and have kids come into their home. It is everybody, and especially as the church, it is all of us working together to help these kids out. I've been reading a book about adoption called Reclaim Compassion, and I just want to share this quote with you because yes, it's going to be hard, and there's going to be parts of it that are messy, but it says, there's a cost to being used by God. You cannot enter a child's suffering without suffering in some way too. Trauma is messy and spills over onto the ones willing to come near. Yet you have immersed yourself in it in the name of love. So that is my challenge to you this month, is to immerse yourself in it in the name of love. God loved us first so that we can love others, and we all have a part to play in foster care.